School is supposed to be one of the safest places you can be. You learn there, you eat some meals there, you hang out with friends there. It's supposed to be a happy, safe, and educational place. But some schools have secrets and disturbing things that have happened to them that are genuinely terrifying. From disturbing things teachers were caught doing, to students who completely disappeared, and even entire schools with dark histories nobody talks about, these are some of the creepiest things about school. Starting with a lockdown story.
In 2017, two 16-year-olds were in their school bathroom when the lights suddenly went out and their school went into lockdown. Feeling rebellious, they decide, you know what, let's go explore the school a little bit first, and then we'll go follow procedure. They step out of the bathroom and look down the hall towards their classroom, and they see this large figure standing in front of their classrooms. It's definitely not a student, it's not a teacher. He's got ragged clothes on and he starts walking towards them. They dart right back into the bathroom to the corner stall where they hide, praying that that man didn't see them. The man bursts in and starts yanking open all the stalls. Not wanting to see what happens when he gets to their stall, they get on the ground and start crawling to the side of the room, where they finally get up and make a run for the door. They look back and he's holding a gun. The boys manage to get away safely and no one's hurt, but the police never capture the ragged man.
That is absolutely terrifying. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm sure if you are in school, you already know about lockdown procedures. I mean, I graduated high school not too long ago, and when I was in person, we always had lockdown procedures that were fake as a part of a safety protocol. And I always wondered, what if the real thing actually happened? Like, that would be terrifying. So clearly this was definitely terrifying. But not only that, these two guys were literally just in the bathroom. They were gonna go explore their school, and then they just see an intruder, and the intruder literally tries to kill them. That is absolutely terrifying. I'm glad they made it out of there safely, but that is insane. Like, I would just not feel safe at school anymore if that happened at my school. Anyways, if you just simply search up school lockdowns on Google, you can find a lot of things that have happened in the previous week of different schools being locked down. It's honestly kind of sad that students have to go through this and deal with real threats in their schools. And unfortunately, it isn't as simple as that short was, where it's like, oh, the police were never able to track down this man and he ended up leaving after not being able to hunt down those kids. It unfortunately ends up being worse most of the time, and a lot of people end up dying, and it's kind of sad. But that's just only one of the creepiest things about school. Let's move on to the next thing that actually involved a school trip.
This is the creepy story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip. Everyone was taking pictures with phones and cameras. When they returned back to school, everyone was looking through the photos when the one girl said, "Oh my god, what is that?" Everybody ran over to look at it. In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus. Nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked very closely at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, bubbling and mutating, and there appeared to be a strange floating white thing beside him. When everyone turned the picture upside down, they realized it was a skull, and it was horrific. When the boy saw the photo of himself, he burst into tears and immediately had a panic attack. The teacher had to send the boy to the nurse, and the principal banned everybody from ever speaking about the strange photo again. 7 days later, the boy in the photo died from a brain tumor.
What? Oh my goodness, that is actually terrifying. Dude, I hate paranormal things, and most of the time I don't believe it's real, but that's insane. Imagine literally just taking a picture of your friend or something, and then in the reflection, the Grim Reaper's just standing there. Like, brother, what? I mean, that's what I'm assuming, because they saw a skull in the reflection, and then the kid was some sort of deformed in the photo in his reflection, and then 7 days later he ends up dying. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this story is real, but if it is real, that is very terrifying. But I think what's more terrifying is how this dude just didn't blink at all during this short. I mean, just look at it. I'm gonna go ahead and 2x this so that you can see that he just didn't blink at all.
Everyone was taking pictures with phones and cameras.
Look.
When they returned back to school, everyone was looking through the photos. When the one girl said,
"Blink!"
everyone ran over to look at it. In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus. Nothing seemed strange about the photo.
Why is he not blinking?
His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, bubbling.
Bro, what is this dude literally doesn't blink for the entire short, and there's even comments about it too. Look, this is my first ever horror story from this guy. It has been over 2 years. Time is literally freakier than his eyes never blinking. Look, this person said he never blinks, and then they said it's kind of hot. Okay, all right, bro. Actual fries in the bag. You need a life. What the heck did I just read? I actually regret reading that. I'm not checking any more comments on that short. Anyways, the next creepy thing about school actually involves a haunted school story. So let's take a look at this. Jake, why did you bully your classmates? You ain't going home after school. Please, sir, don't detain me. I swear it wasn't me. Everybody leave school. It's almost evening. Where's Jake? He hasn't come home from school yet. Let's go to his school then. Please find my boy. You need to see this. What is that? What? Bro, what is this? An abandoned looking building, and then there's an arrow. Okay, surely there's something in the comments about this. Oh, explanation. Jake, a student accused of bullying his classmates, was given detention one evening. He begged his teacher, Mr. Grayson, to spare him, but the teacher insisted on the punishment. That night, eerie events unfolded, and Jake grew terrified. When he tried to leave, the school gate was locked, and Jake disappeared. The next day, his missing posters were all over, but Mr. Grayson claimed Jake never showed up for detention. Later, another teacher saw Jake's reflection still sitting in the classroom, grinning. After this, the school was abandoned. The gymnasium walls were covered in graffiti reading, "Don't come here alone," and "Please, sir, don't detain me." What the heck? Bro, this is so weird. So I'm assuming that this building is the abandoned school that guy is talking about in the explanation. That's crazy, bro. Oh my gosh. But I'm scrolling through the rest of the comments, and apparently a lot of these people got this story at night. Look, they said, "My shorts in the day, my shorts at night." Why can't this kind of short come during the day? I'm watching this short in the middle of the night, eating Maggie while lights are off. Anyways, hopefully that person's talking about a noodle brand called Maggie's Noodles and not a person. But let's move on to the next creepy thing about school that is very, very real, unlike the school trip story we saw and the last story we saw about a haunted school. This one involves a similar lockdown story to the first one. I'm not going to say it because YouTube gets really mad at people for talking about this subject.
On March 5th, a school receptionist hit the panic button, but she never said a word. Officers were dispatched immediately, assuming it was a false alarm. But when they arrived, the front office was empty, and the halls were silent.
What happened?
Then they heard the first gunshot. A student had barricaded himself inside a classroom with 3 of his classmates. By the time officers reached the door, it was already too late.
Oh my gosh.
2 students were dead. A third was clinging to life. The shooter had already vanished. Somehow, he'd escaped through a janitor's access tunnel, one nobody even knew existed. Days went by with no answers, until a neighbor noticed lights flickering in the abandoned school gym. When police stormed in, they found a mattress, food wrappers, and the shooter's diary. He'd been living inside the school for 2 weeks before the attack.
What?
And he was planning a second one. His arrest came just hours before his next target date.
Who was
His
it?
name, Jackson Reed.
Jackson
Age,
Reed.
15.
And he was 15 when he did this? Dude, what? Oh my goodness. That's insane. And look, this comment actually brought something to my attention. Living inside the school for 2 weeks without nobody knowing, without parents asking questions, is crazy to me. Yeah, why didn't his parents ever ask like questions or report him missing? Were they in on this too? Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of insane. Oh, but someone does correct the person who made this video. It says actually the killer's name was Cameron Hollett and the school was named Jackson Reed. Anyways, that's kind of sad because I'm not gonna lie, these types of things happening at schools is pretty often, and they're associated with a lot of lockdowns. It's kind of sad that the world has come to this where kids are in danger because random people decide to do this, but it happens a lot more than you think, and it's kind of unfortunate. But fortunately, schools do have panic buttons most of the time because of incidents like that. And then at the same time, a lot of teachers do get some sort of like class that they need to take in order to make sure they can defend themselves and their students from situations like this happening. Anyways, let's take a look at the next creepiest thing about school.
If you are all alone in your school and suddenly you hear someone's laughing from an empty classroom, run immediately and listen carefully. You must follow these rules.
Oh, okay, so this is like kind of like one of those backroom shorts, but I am curious on what these rules are, even though this is probably fake.
1. Back away without making a sound. Whatever's in that classroom is listening for movement. 2. Avoid looking through the glass panel. If you make eye contact, it might recognize you next time. 3. Be careful. If the laughing suddenly stops, freeze. It means it knows you are near and it just changed locations. 4. Leave the school using the main exit. Only side exits may look open, but they don't lead outside anymore. If you are still inside, stop listening to the laughs and start listening to your instincts.
All right, that one is kind of unsettling, I'm not gonna lie. But obviously that is fake, like that wouldn't ever happen. But I did always have a fear of being at school alone. I remember there was this one time in high school when I stayed after for like some sort of club that was happening, and then I had to use like the bathroom, and then when I came back, everybody left. And like, it was literally just empty. The school was completely empty, and I got so terrified. I was like, yo, where did everybody go? I like ran outside the school, and I saw everybody waiting, and then I like got mad at my friends because I was like, why didn't you text me you were leaving? Because I spent like probably 10 minutes looking for people, and there was nobody. I even called out names, and nobody said anything. Like, I was completely alone. It was terrifying. But I don't think anything like this would happen. That seems more like a backroom short. But let's take a look at the next creepiest thing about school that involves an abandoned school. It says this abandoned school was famous for its basketball team. All right. Oh, look at them. They look pretty cool. Until one kid got murdered. What? The school shut down in 2013 with everything left behind. Wait. And blood still on the carpet. How did this dude die? What? Is there anything in the comments? Oh, it says, I read about it. The school is called Springarn High School. The kid was fatally shot with an unregistered pistol by a dude who said he'd shoot them. And he replied with, no, you're not. Oh, the kid's name was Ajax, and he tried to run away, but he was shot and he hit his head on the floor. The guy who shot him was Michael Joseph Pratt. What a sad world we live in. Dang. That is so sad. Yeah, another person backs that story up. It says, for those who don't know, Adrian Ajax Precia was a boy who recently started the new school year with his friends. His friend group got a hold of a weapon and they were playing with it in the auditorium. There was an eyewitness sitting behind them who saw Michael Joseph Pratt point the weapon at Ajax's head, and he said, no, you won't, but he shot the weapon. He did not survive. You're welcome. Don't have nightmares. That's pretty terrifying. But clearly both of these stories involve somebody named Ajax, so I'm assuming that is the real story. But obviously that is what happens to people who mess around with weapons and have no idea what they're doing. If you ever find a weapon anywhere, school, home, on the street, whatever, don't touch it. Contact a trusted adult or police, and that's the end of the story. You should not touch that thing, because messing around with it clearly leads to things like this. Anyways, let's move on to the next creepy thing about school, which involves a creepy English teacher.
Mister, I need a pencil. Well, then you know what to do.
What?
There was this one English teacher at this one school that had a full-blown ritual.
What the heck? Whoa, a full-blown ritual just for asking for a pencil? Oh, why? What the heck?
Just for handing out pencils. But it wasn't funny, it wasn't goofy, it was actually kind of unsettling.
What
he called
is it?
The ceremony.
And it happened every single time somebody asked for a pencil. You couldn't just say, can I borrow one? You had to raise your hand and say, I seek the tool of wisdom. And if you said it wrong, he would just stare at you, dead silent, until you said it right. Then he would unlock a little drawer, which he called the vault. He'd slowly remove one pencil and hold it up in the air, like it was sacred. Sometimes he would even close his eyes. Yes. Yes. And before he would hand it over, he would look at the entire class and go, together now, use it well, write with honor. He said this binded the exchange. And if somebody in the class didn't say it with everybody, he would just hold onto the pencil and wait. And here's the part that really unsettled people. If you disrespected the ceremony, like if you laughed or whispered or rolled your eyes, he would mark your name down in a little red notebook.
Oh no.
Didn't say anything, he just wrote your name down. And people swore every time he did that, there was a pop quiz the next day. Got to the point where people stopped forgetting to bring their pencils to class. Not because they were just more prepared, but because they were terrified to ask the teacher.
All right, well, I mean, that is really weird. Like, why are we having a whole ritual for somebody who didn't bring a pencil to school? But it doesn't seem like anything really bad came from it. It honestly just seems like something that this guy did to make sure that people brought their pencils, because it's not like he was sacrificing anybody or anything, and not like that type of ritual. It just was like weird. Look, even this comment says maybe the teacher was just sick of the class forgetting their pencils, so he made a ritual of his own to scare the heck out of them. This person said, I'm guessing that the teacher did this because he got sick of students asking for pencils. Therefore, he made asking for a pencil as over the top and embarrassing as possible, so nobody would ask for pencils anymore. It doesn't obviously seem like any harm came out of this, but it just it is pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie. If I was a kid and I was in that class, I'd be like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? Anyways, let's take a look at this next creepy thing about school, which involves a teacher on lockdown.
I was on lunch duty. We had an SRO officer, and I'll never forget this look on her face of just terror, but trying to cover it up. You know what I
was it?
mean?
Sure.
And she just came up to me and she asked, "Have you seen the principal?" And I said, "No." And I just see her beeline to the front office, which is like maybe 15 feet from me.
Sure.
And within 3 minutes, we get a intercom to the whole school saying, "This is not a drill. We're under a code red lockdown.
Why?
Everyone get to a classroom immediately." I was just shoving kids into classrooms as I was going. We just shut the door, locked it down. After a good 5 or 10 minutes, we passed out textbooks. And the kids were like, "What is this for?" And I said, "It's for holding in front of your body." I said, "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you." You know those big scissors? Grabbed 4 pairs and I put them between my knuckles and I just sat by the door. I was on lunch duty.
Wait,
We
what
had-
happened next? Yo, hold on. What happened next, Miss Rebecca? Holy, leaving it on a cliffhanger. Okay, after like 10 minutes of searching for this lady's impossible full episode of whatever she was talking about, I finally found it. Rebecca, please make your things easier to find. You left me on the craziest cliffhanger of all time, but here it is.
Practice for a drill during lunch.
Right.
You know?
I mean, you probably don't, right? Maybe that
Never-
one time
no
per
one's ever
year.
thought about
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Like we've done active, like we've done drills, like lockdown drills, but it's always like when we're in a class and the teacher shows us where to go. These are, and I taught at a school that had what? More than 1,500 students.
Yeah.
Half of which are right now in the cafeteria at lunch. Where do you put them?
So I mean, what happened with
So
that?
it was chaos, absolute chaos. There was I felt like a good 10 seconds of shock of like, oh okay, and then I just kind of had to snap myself out of it. My room was like down the hall and around the corner, so, and I knew that I had students in my room hanging out during lunch, so I just knew I need to get to my room so I can get to those kids
Right.
and lock the door. And as I went, I was just shoving kids into classrooms as I was going. Especially there were a few that like if they knew me, they would like come and grab my arm and they're like, "Where do I go?" And I'm like, "In here immediately.
go to a room,
Go
right.
now."
But you had no information at this point.
No,
It was just
literally
you're on
just-
code red. You got to go to a room,
Exactly.
and that's it.
And I was one of the only adults that even saw our SRO officer
Yeah.
like look that terrified. So I don't even know I don't even know what other teachers might have been thinking at that moment. I just remember like my only train of thought was get to your classroom, shove as many kids into rooms as you possibly can, and shut
Yeah.
the door. So I finally got to my classroom, and there was another teacher in there as well. We shared a classroom. I had a couple of my cheerleaders in there. I had some of my Model UN kids in there. I just had some kids that were just in there for smart lunch or anything like that. And we just shut the door, locked it down. After a good 5 or 10 minutes, we passed out textbooks. And the kids were like, "What is this for?" And I said, "It's for holding in front of your body. Because
Oh,
what else
yeah?
do you do?
Right.
Just in case." I said, "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you."
That's a W line. She didn't really sugarcoat it. She said it in a nice way, like these textbooks are for protecting yourself in case there's an intruder with a weapon. So W her for doing that.
We don't know what's happening, and I just want to make sure that you're okay. And then I took the fire extinguisher off the wall and I handed it to the other teacher, and I said, "If anyone opens the door, I just want you to spray." And I grabbed those big scissors.
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
I
yeah.
grabbed 4 pairs and I put them between my knuckles and I just sat by the door.
That's wild.
I know.
That's crazy.
Now I can look back and I'm like, man, I felt like Wolverine. But in the moment, like
Right.
my only thought process was like, hey, no way anything is happening to these kids
Right.
on my watch, which is scary, terrifying, because like I didn't sign up to do that.
Right.
You did. I
Right.
did.
But,
I did
I
not
mean,
sign up to do that.
And that's crazy. Not crazy that you say that, but it's funny because the teachers shouldn't think like that, right? Like it should be a
Yeah.
safe space
Yes,
for kids. And
exactly.
unfortunately, right now it isn't. You know, and any school in America is privy to anything like that.
Yes.
And so the fact that he did that is honestly great. You know,
Thank
because
you.
I don't know, most teachers may.
My fight or flight
You know.
is 100% fight.
Right.
Hands down.
And like that's good. And,
I know that
and
it
that's also,
is.
to be very honest, transfers over to police officers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Some cops
Alright,
just.
what happens next?
It ended up so there's a few. Did the school actually give us an update of what happened? No.
What?
Were there a few things going on, like a few rumors between all the teachers? Yes.
Gotcha.
So there were a few. Do I know exactly what happened? No. I don't even know because like some of
Just something happened.
Yes.
And it was real enough where.
Well, so what something that did happen is that, you know, as some kids were walking back onto campus from lunch. The school was right near like a neighborhood, so there was a woman sitting on her porch watching some kids who were coming back onto campus who became very concerned about something she thought they were holding.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I have no idea what it was or was not. Again, there were lots of rumors going around between all the teachers. I don't actually know what happened, but I do know that a woman who was sitting on her porch became very concerned about what some kids were holding as they were walking onto campus.
Gotcha.
And that's all I know.
Dang, that's actually kind of scary. So fortunately nothing did happen, but it's good that she took the step to protect as many kids as she could as possible. Anyways, those are some of the creepiest things about school. Make sure to obviously stay safe and stay in school and get your education, whatever. But let me know which one you thought was the creepiest. I would say any of the lockdown stories, because those are real things that happen, and obviously most of the paranormal things are not real. But let me know what you thought was the scariest in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you click another video on screen, subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you in the next one.